Well, hey there. I'm Dean the Turkey Legster. Welcome to this pre recorded version of Once Upon a Turkey Leg. This is normally a live stream on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Um, but I had some things going on today, specifically a little road trip down to Disney. I may actually be home by the time this goes up. I just wasn't sure. So I decided I would pre record this edition of Once Upon a Turkey Leg. Um, Come back next week. I will probably be live unless plans happen again. So we are in Christmas. You may notice the background. You may notice my reindeer antlers. And so today, as I usually do during December, I've got some fun Christmas stories to read to you without further ado. Here's our first story tonight. It is How the Grinch Stole Christmas from Dr. Seuss, or by Dr. Seuss. Here we go. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head that wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was two sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown as the warm lighted windows below in their town. At the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled, with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, here's this picture. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise! Oh, the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise, 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 noise. Noise, noise, noise. Yes, I added a couple of noise. Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beef, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. Well, kinda. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, get up, and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. Mm. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square. This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first ones to go. Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums, and he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch, very nimbly, stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beef. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Oh. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove, when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head. Then he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that was left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Whose houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Whose mouses. It was 1/4 past dawn, all the Whos still abed, all the Whos still a snooze, when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbings, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Whos, he was grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Whos down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo. "That's a noise," grinned the Grinch, "that I simply must hear." So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, and it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry, but it couldn't be so. But it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came, somehow or other. It came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. Hmm. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day, and the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beef. And that was our first story. How the Grinch Stole Christmas from Dr. Seuss. I hope you enjoyed that. Before I start the second story on Once Upon a Turkey Leg, I hope you bop the like button for me. I would appreciate it. And let me know in the comments that you were watching this. I would greatly appreciate that. If you're watching the video and you have not subscribed to the channel, I would ask that you seriously and gobbletastically consider subscribing to the channel. And with that, here is our second story tonight. It is A Charlie Brown Christmas by Charles M. Schulz. And this is based on the animated special. The text was adapted by Tina Gallo, illustrated by Scott Geralds. It's the most magical time of the year. Christmas is coming. The air is crisp and cold. The children are ice skating, and the sound of Christmas carols fills the air. Everyone is in the holiday spirit. Well, almost everyone. I think there must be something wrong with me, Charlie Brown says. Christmas is coming, but I'm not happy. I like getting presents, sending cards, decorating trees, and all that, but I always end up feeling sad. Charlie Brown, you're the only person I know who can take a wonderful season like Christmas and turn it into a problem, Linus says. Maybe Lucy's right. Of all the Charlie Browns in the world, you're the Charlie Browniest. Charlie Brown decides to talk to Lucy. She gives really good advice, and it only costs 5 cents. I just don't understand Christmas, Charlie Brown tells her. Instead of feeling happy, I feel sort of let down. You need to get involved in a real Christmas project, Lucy advises. How would you like to be the director of our Christmas play? Me? A director? Charlie Brown is surprised at the suggestion. He knows nothing about directing, but it sounds exciting. He agrees to meet Lucy at the school auditorium. On his way to the auditorium, Charlie Brown spots his dog Snoopy carrying a box of Christmas ornaments and lights. He watches as Snoopy carefully decorates his doghouse. Snoopy has entered a contest to win money for the best neighborhood Christmas lights and display. My own dog has gone commercial, Charlie Brown groans. I can't stand it. Next, Charlie Brown is stopped by his sister Sally. Will you help me write a letter to Santa Claus, Big Brother? Sally asks. Charlie Brown begins to write down everything Sally says. Dear Santa Claus, Sally starts, how have you been? I have been extra good this year, so I have a long list of presents. But you can make it easy on yourself. Just send money. How about tens and twenties? Charlie Brown sighs. Good grief. When Charlie Brown finally arrives at the auditorium, the cast is waiting for him. Okay, let's have quiet, he announces. Places, everybody. Action. But no one listens to him. Schroeder starts playing his piano, and everyone starts dancing. Nobody cares that Charlie Brown is directing. Nobody cares about the play. They all just want to dance. Charlie Brown feels even worse than he did before. This Christmas play is all wrong, he moans. Lucy tries to make him feel better. Everybody knows Christmas is just a time of year for people to buy stuff, she says. But Charlie Brown disagrees. This is one play that is going to be different. We need something to set the proper mood. Oh, sorry, but Charlie Brown disagrees. This is one play that is going to be different. We need something to set the proper mood. We need a Christmas tree. That's it. Lucy exclaims. We need a Christmas tree. A great big shiny aluminum tree. You go get the tree, Charlie Brown. I'll take Linus with me, Charlie Brown says. The rest of you can practice your lines. Lucy is excited about the Christmas tree. Get the biggest aluminum tree you can find, she orders. Maybe painted pink. When Charlie Brown and Linus arrive at the Christmas tree lot, they are surrounded by fake trees. Some are plastic, some are aluminum, some are painted different colors. Some even have polka dots. Linus knocks on one of the aluminum trees. Do they still make wooden Christmas trees? He wonders out loud. Meanwhile, Charlie Brown is starting to feel sad again. None of these trees feel right to him. Then Charlie Brown sees it. A teeny tiny green tree. He smiles. This little tree seems to need a home, he says. Linus hesitates. I don't know, Charlie Brown. This doesn't seem to fit the modern spirit. But Charlie Brown suddenly feels better than he has in days. We'll decorate it, and it will be just right for our play. Besides, I think it needs me. He picks up the tree. Needles tinkle as they fall off the scrawny tree, making it even scrawnier. Charlie Brown is still smiling when he returns to the auditorium. He gently places the tree down on Schroeder's piano. We're back, he announces. Everyone rushes over to see the tree. They are shocked and disappointed at Charlie Brown's choice. You were supposed to get a good tree, Lucy declares. Can't you even tell a good tree from a poor tree? Everyone agrees. What happens next is worst of all. Everybody starts to laugh at Charlie Brown and the little tree, even Snoopy. Charlie Brown feels sadder than ever. He turns to Linus. I guess you were right, he says. I shouldn't have picked this little tree. I really don't know what Christmas is all about. He pauses and looks around. Isn't there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about? He cries. To his surprise, it is Linus who answers. Sure, Charlie Brown, I can tell you what Christmas is all about. He walks to the center of the stage and says, Lights, please. Somebody dims the lights in the auditorium and puts a single spotlight on Linus. In a clear voice, Linus begins to speak. And there were shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And the angel of the Lord came upon them and said, Fear not, for behold, I bring you tidings of great joy. For unto you is born this day a Saviour, which is Christ the Lord. And there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, Glory to God peace on earth, goodwill to men. Everyone is quiet as Linus finishes. That's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown, he says. Charlie Brown picks up his little tree and steps outside. He looks up at the dark sky full of twinkling stars. He finally feels happy deep down inside, the way Christmas is supposed to make you feel. Linus is right, he says to himself. I'm not going to let everyone else's greed spoil my Christmas. I'll take this little tree home and decorate it and show everyone it really will work in our play. Charlie Brown passes Snoopy's fully decorated doghouse. Snoopy won first prize. He takes a shiny red ornament off the doghouse and hangs it on the little tree. But the ornament is too heavy and the little tree topples over. Charlie Brown is horrified. I've killed it, he cries. Everything I touch gets ruined. He walks away sadly with his head down, leaving the little tree alone. After Charlie Brown leaves, the others find the tree. I never thought it was such a bad tree, little tree, Linus says. He wraps his blanket around the tree's base. It's not bad at all, really. All it needs is a little love. Without saying a word, the other kids begin taking the decorations off of Snoopy's doghouse and putting them on the tree. It doesn't take long for them to transform the little tree into something magical. When Charlie Brown returns a few minutes later, he can scarcely believe his eyes. First, he looks at Snoopy's bare doghouse, then at the beautiful tree. What's going on here? He asks. Then he looks at his friends. Their faces are all shining with joy. Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown, they shout, and before Charlie Brown can say another word, they start to sing Christmas carols. Charlie Brown smiles and starts to singing with his friends. He knows it is going to be the best Christmas ever. That is our second and final story on Once Upon a Turkey Leg. This time, A Charlie Brown Christmas by Charles M. Schulz. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story. I enjoyed reading that as well as The Grinch to you. Um, Come back next Thursday on the channel. I hope to be live, providing there aren't any more plans in the works, which there very well may be, but regardless, I will have stories for you, Christmas themed, for this most wonderful time of the year. So once again, if you have not already, pop the like button for me. Please leave a comment below if you're watching this today. Have a very merry and gobbletastic Christmas, and I'll see you next time here on the channel. So take care, everyone.